Hello, everybody. We are here for Tea Time and Conversation, and today we're going to be having a conversation with Karen Jones, and she's a medical doctor. She's practiced OB/GYN in Seattle for over 28 years as part of a large multi-specialty group. And while she was working as a doctor, she attended the Barbara Brennan School of Healing from 2001 to 2005 and graduated as an energy healing practitioner and started a small energy healing practice separate from her medical practice. And after retiring 4 years ago, she had the yearning to do more healing and teaching. And she did some zigs and zags that we're going to hear about and took some training in transformational facilitation and leadership under Claire Zammit. She's with Evolving Wisdom, and that's where we met. She is now pivoting her business to online. She's doing one-on-one sessions that include mentoring and energy healing. She's passionate about personal and spiritual growth, which further informs her sessions with her clients. And I have to tell you, she started healing with selenite. Is that how you say it? Selenite?
Selenite, yes.
Selenite Swords. And we were having a conversation the other day on Zoom, getting to know each other, and she brought out this sword. There it is. And I was like, what is that? Because I felt this energy even through online. It's miraculous. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. And I'm one of these people that in my earlier years, I was more skeptical about those kind of weird things. And I've come to like love different ways of healing and appreciate them. And so I'm super excited. We're all excited to hear your story today of your journey towards healing, because it sounds like, Karen, that that occurred, that initial yearning to get into healing and become a doctor. Tell us a little bit about how that started and your story.
So that's kind of a funny story too. So here I am in high school, very left-brained, science and math, blah, 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 enjoying all that. So my parents suggested engineering. So my first year of college, I went to the local community college and signed up for Intro to Engineering, which happened to be run by a structural engineer. And by a couple of months into it, I was kind of going, I got to do something that has something to do with people. My mom's saying, but you're so shy, I got to do something else. So I went on to Oregon State University and thought, well, being a doctor sounds kind of interesting, and but I don't want to do that like pre-med degree because that sounds so bogus. So what can I know I was literally saying this. It's really funny to think about it. So I was going on and thinking, oh, what can I do? Okay, what's the hardest thing I can do? Well, biochemistry, biophysics. And if I can't do that, I can always drop down and do something easier. So I got my degree in biochemistry, biophysics, and then got into medical school. I know it kind of started this whole pattern that I've had throughout my life, which is enjoying challenges, whether it's mental, emotional challenges or physical challenges, because I also climb mountains, including trying to climb the high point of Antarctica in January this year. And and then going to Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which was a huge psychological, emotional, spiritual challenge. I do this over and over. Yeah. Anyway, so that's how I got into medical school. And then, of course, there I'm in medical school, and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, and the women are tending to go into family practice or pediatrics or OB, So then I did my OB rotation, and I'm going, this is it. This is it. This is it. It was the combination of hand work and head work. And you know how that goes, talking. You kind of find the niche and it's like, yes, it's that. Yeah, so that's, it's a funny story.
So it sounds like just good at listening to it, knowing that engineering, that wasn't it, but that you were listening to the promptings of your spirit and following. And I have a feeling the path you've taken to get into energy healing from OBGYN and more traditional medicine, that included this listening to your spirit and following its nudges. And so anybody else curious about like how you decided to go to this school where you got some certificates, I imagine, or so degree in energy healing?
Yeah, it's not really a degree, but it'd be more of a certificate. Yeah. I think you could have done other work to get a BA degree in energy healing, but I didn't need that. Yeah, so I went on again. I was very, at that point in my life, I was still very left brain. I did have a little bit of tweaks to interesting things because I learned how to do transcendental meditation actually when I was a senior in high school. So I've always had a little bit of this covert spirituality, esoteric interest, but I was mostly this very left brain, good with the compassion thing, but not good with other emotions. But as I went on over the years, I started getting in. There was a group called Women in Medicine, and we would meet and have these seminars. And one of them was Indian Rich Sweat Lodge. Sweat Lodge, yes. So I would do some things like that, and started reading more. If you remember Joan Borsenko's books and Carolyn Mace's books. And I also began to see where, especially in my specialty, which I realized was a second chakra specialty, I would have people who would keep coming back with different second chakra physical ailments. And I'd been read enough Carolyn Mace and Joan Borsenko by that point. I had this one woman in particular, she'd had ovarian cysts, and then she had something else. And then I saw her like a year later with abnormal pap smears, and I was doing a colposcopy on her. So at that point, again, knowing enough second chakra stuff, I asked her, are you having any second chakra issues, like issues with your partner, your creativity, your supervisors or colleagues and things like that? And she said, yeah. And I going, bingo, you need to start working on those things or you're going to come back to me next year with fibroids. And I don't want you to do that. So I was
Karen,
doing all.
Can you explain a little bit what the second chakra syndromes
Sure.
are?
Exactly. So the different chakras in the body, and again, there's different systems, but I went with the more traditional system and also the one that Barbara Brennan teaches. But so chakras are energy intake valves for the body. And so we receive energy and we put energy out through each of the chakras. And if you're taking in this is good because you're gaining the various kinds of energy in the environment around us that go into meridians and nadis and into the physical body from there and are very good. If our chakras are closed, we're actually tending to put this energy out, which psychologically speaking, we can call projection. So we all have a projection from psychological things where something else about somebody is driving us nuts, but it's really what we have ourselves, but haven't acknowledged or accepted in ourselves. So there's some interesting things that go on there. But back to chakras. So the first chakra is basically being on earth, being connected to earth, and your sense of safety in your body. And the organs it deals with are going to be bone structures, legs, things like that. Second chakra is right just above your pubic bone, front and back, and that's going to be dealing with creativity. And so that's dealing with, in women, uterus, tubes, ovary, vagina, lower colon, places like that. So my specialty was a second chakra area. And then there's psychological issues that go along with it, which are, again, creativity, the whole how you get on with your partner, how you deal with your boss or your underlings, things like that. And then third chakra is in the epigastric area, and that's about personal power. That's your small intestine, spleen, liver, this area of the body, kidneys, that sort of thing. And that's going to be, again, more personal power.
Can you
Thanks.
take us back to, you're a practicing physician in the allopathic world, and then the longing you must have had and the little nudge to start making this transition to, it sounds like you've always had this creative side wanting to kind of come out, because you've been a self-proclaimed left brainer for so long. However, as I listen to you, I feel like your creative side has always been there, and it's just been waiting to just come out.
I,
So walk through this transition and how you maybe, and what happened in your life to, I think, maybe finally listen to that creative side that spurred you to make this incredible life pivot and decision to really step into your, what sounds like your greatness.
a lot of it was, there was this underlying dissatisfaction with my life. Because here I was a doctor, very successful, very well. I mean, it worked well with my colleagues. I was, medical director in my group for part of the time. And yet there was part of me that was unhappy. And I didn't know why. Because outwardly it looked like I was successful. I was doing my training. I was doing very well. I was doing surgery, yeah. So there was a degree of unhappiness, and I was happily married, or pretty happily married. 2 kids that were just fine, my great boys. And looking back on it, I would assess it was partly there was something more to do, and partly my right brain side was really needing to come out. The whole learning how to, instead of being all left brain and basically scared of all the negative emotions, I needed to incorporate and bring that up. So there was, in a sense, I mean, I've used this analogy with my healing clients. It's like all of our stuffed, repressed, and suppressed emotions are in a well. And they get to the point where they're pushing on the bottom of the well and spewing up every so often in a very uncontrolled fashion. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know. I just didn't know why I was unhappy. I couldn't put my finger on it.
Do you know now?
Oh yeah, it was the need to integrate my right and left hemispheres of the brain, if you will, and really get the feminine side integrated with the masculine side, because I was very good at doing, not so good at being. And so it was, you get in this sort of stuck double bind. And so what happened was I started noticing tingling in the palms of my hands. And I was at a Carolyn Mace conference. And because, again, this closet mystic was coming out too at the same time. And I mentioned it to someone in the lunch line, and she said, that sounds like energy. Why don't you find the Healing Touch website? Because this is 2000 now. So we did have computers. So I went home and I got on my computer to find the Healing Touch website, which we all know there is a Healing Touch website. I never found it. I put in Healing Touch. It didn't go to Healing Touch. It went through a couple of links and then the Barbara Brennan School of Healing.
Wow.
And I read about that, and this combination of learning how to do energy healing and intensive personal growth, and something inside me went, yes, I got to do this. And I did the left brain thing, like I did a weekend workshop to sort of make sure. But there was a part of me that knew it was time for the personal growth to start.
Were you far enough into your career and your personal growth that you, like, I guess what I'm asking is, how strong were those voices that you had to overcome, that were saying to you, stay as an allopathic doctor, you're going to get a lot of pushback? How did you get through that part of your journey?
Right. It was actually, for me internally, I was unhappy enough in myself that I had a pretty good push to go ahead and do it. And I continued to doctor because the schooling was 5 one-week sessions a year plus homework. So I was working 3/4 time at that point. and I'd been working 14 years or so. So between my 14th and 17th year of working, I was doing all that. Actually, the biggest pushback I got was from my husband, because of course he was, he's very left brain. He went to Boeing computers and all that kind of stuff. He never said it, but I think what was going on inside him was fear that I was going to change and leave the marriage. So he was not supportive. So what I had to push against, and this was actually really important for me, being a, people pleaser as I was for a long time, is to deal with the pushback and go anyway. So that pushback was more external, and it happened to be projected by him. But again, from looking back, it wasn't personal. I think it was just my own needing to push against my stay stuck, and it just manifested externally.
And how did you finally feel when you were able to just, I mean, there's so much fear there, yes. And then how did you feel when you finally had the courage to push back? Push seems like such a negative term, but just, I guess, to find your voice. Let's just reframe it to that, find your voice.
That's a great way to put it, because that's really what it is. It's allowing my own voice to come out. It's been a slow process, because I was very much in the do it this way, be the good girl, in the roles, in the masks for many, many years. And so and plus being introverted, I really had to work at, okay, even such simple things as, where do you want to go to dinner tonight? Oh, I don't care, you choose. I mean, seriously, in my home life. No, I didn't do this in my professional life. I was very sure, I'm very sure what I need to do and when, once I figure it out. And usually once I can in my personal life, once I can make a decision, I can just go with it. It's just sometimes I don't know if you guys have the experience that blah, 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 trying to make a decision, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You just got to laugh.
Yeah.
Well, and Kim always talks about when the four of us just talk about, really finding our true center and taking off that veil. And you use that term, and I find that very interesting and fascinating that was the same visual. You were wearing a mask, and then you were behind a mask, and then finding the courage to be able to take it off and be your true self.
Right.
I guess I would say, what was it? What in your life helped you find that courage to take off the mask? And and even though we do take off the mask, we are going to be bombarded with pushback a little bit. How do you maintain your strength?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, it was the push that there was that internal push that said, do it now. That was enough to keep going. And at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, especially the first year, it was really work on your first 3 chakras, and on our own. We get into groups of 20 and do what's called personal process work, where we bring stuff out, and I'm going, emotions? And literally that first year, whenever someone would come up and be, sharing her fear, her emotional pain in our small groups, I was literally deer in the headlights, terrified of strong emotions, because I didn't know how to handle mine, and I didn't know how to handle everybody else's. When I was in the doctor role, I could, because I had the mask role, because it's kind of both one and the other. They're different, but it supported me to tolerate and hold what she was going through. But when I was taking off my own masks and getting out of my role to be more my authentic self, it was really petrifying. And it was so interesting, because many of the people were already very left-brained and knew a lot about energy. And here I am, where I'm going, right-brained and knowing a lot about energy. So here I'm coming in left-brained, terrified of right brain, not knowing anything about energy. And so everything that was a strength in my successful world was a weakness there that I had to actually pull back from. It was the hardest 4 years of my life. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was the hardest thing. But what kept me going, knowing it's the right thing. And then, I'd go back into mask and back into being unauthentic. But the disconnect, the incongruity between what I really knew I was to be and what I was pretending to be was so big that it would give me the impetus to say, okay, I can put a foot in the water. Okay, I can actually, look what you're doing. You're not even choosing where to go out to dinner. Say something. Say anything. People will say something if they disagree. I mean, it was like, oh my God.
Wow.
So you just get the impetus, and so it's a continual process, because I graduated in 2005, but you keep on going. And then I was moving even more at that point into personal growth slash spiritual growth work that continued to support my own transformation as it became more and more clear about beliefs and old stories and how you shift them and the manifestation pathway and how to connect with myself. So I begin to have more and more of a clear picture of what I want, what I need, what I want to bring out in the world.
I love
This
this.
this is incredible. And just you're just everything you're saying. I'm just like, oh, like it's just amazing listening to the steps that you took. I guess using your left brain, because I'm so right brain. I'm like, like I don't even think us right brainers that were if I were in your energy class, I don't even think I'd be realizing that you were left brain. You know what I mean? As
It's a
creative
lot.
people are kind of like in our own little world, not realizing you girls know what I'm trying to say. But the steps that you took to continue moving forward and follow your intuition, that's amazing. Like, I just want to hear more and more about how you did that, because I feel like, I mean, I know I'm in that process right now, and I feel like I've been in that for quite a while. And I know, yeah. So if you want to share some more about like the next steps, how did you start actually like building your practice or changing from being a medical physician into the world of energy healing? Like, how did you do that?
Well, mostly I stayed as a doctor until, gosh, when did I retire? 2016. So I continued to work between 3/4 and full time. And at some point, I was again starting to get this feeling something isn't right. It's like, I love my patients, I love my job, but I hate the commute. I started getting more and more that I didn't like, but I kind of kept toughing it out, because, all these years into it, I'm really good at this. How can I leave? Blah, 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 blah. But I did finally so, I stopped doing OB because I just wasn't sleeping at the hospital anymore. You know how that goes. So I wasn't getting rest. And so I thought, well, if I stop doing call, that should do it. So I just did GYN only, and that was good. And then it wasn't. And I had a small hands-on energy practice, which was all just a little bit of word of mouth. I didn't advertise. I got an office in a holistic care center. So it was very small, and I never really worked at it at all, but I just loved it because, coming in to be with my clients and doing energy, because it changes, it would change my energy. So I would get just as much out of it as my clients would. It'd be like, this is great. I feel good. Yeah, so it's been a process. It wasn't like I was suddenly listening to my intuition all the time. It was a process. A little bit of a hard head, and I should be doing this and all of that. It's very amusing. I finally got to the point where it's like, I am not happy. I need to retire. We can do this financially. My husband had actually retired a couple of years before because his department was disintegrating at Boeing, and he was going, no goodies here. I'm out. And so I retired, and initially was doing some zigzags. I actually spent 4 weeks over in Somaliland in a hospital there, teaching some residents and medical students and doing a little delivery work there. But and that was very good. But at the end, I realized, because I was asking, is doing more volunteer medical work it? And then I that with that, and no, I don't think so, because I love teaching. As a doctor, I was I'm teaching residents and medical students, and my colleagues, new colleagues would come on, and I would kind of mentor them, and I just love that. And of course, teaching all my patients, I just love that. So I'm going, how can I teach? How can I do this? And then and then I ran into Claire's program last fall about mastery, more personal growth. And I'm going, oh, I like this. And then in January, I heard about her programs about transformational facilitation, and I'm going, ooh, I'd like to really up-level my skills in facilitation, because I'd like to actually do small groups. But I don't feel like I do it any more than, what a doctor knows. Innate skills, but there can be more. So I've been loving that. And
Karen, I love how your transformation has been. There's this common thread, I think, whenever we talk to people who have transformed their lives and their careers, and the common thread is small steps, one step at a time. Tahare and I had this discussion several weeks ago when we were on a walk together, and we were talking about, I think we were talking about her, having 6 children and homeschooling. And if somebody had told her before everything happened how difficult it would have been, we would be so paralyzed with that fear, we wouldn't even take the first step. So the beauty of the small steps is we don't know what we don't know, and that's necessary. So you just take these small steps, and then it opens another door. And what you did, you take another step and it opens another door, and you did 3/4 time, then you did half time, and then you removed the OB part and then the GYN part. And so I love that you're echoing, I think, a lot of our struggles when we are faced with this pivot in our lives, or to do it or not to do it. I think if we all just remember that every big transformation always just starts with one small step in that direction, in a direction. Just say something. I love that you said that. Just say something, and then just be open to how life unfolds. And that's exactly what happened to you. You just took a step, life unfolded, you took another step. So thank you for sharing that part of your story. I think that's so important for all of us to hear, that it wasn't this big, massive change, and it never really is a big, massive change.
I think it can be for some people, but it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say before, I'm so excited to hear like the next step in your journey, but I also was sitting here listening and thinking, wow, everything you have said resonates not just with me, but I can relate it to the other 3 ladies and the journeys that they've been on.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to every word you say, and I'm like, you're like, I love teaching. And I'm like, oh, Kim loves teaching. You're talking about the right brain, left brain journey and the creativity. And I'm like, oh, Jennifer, like from medical doctor, right? Like the balance of science and spirituality. I'm like, oh, Taki. Sorry, I really want to hear what you have to say, but I'm so excited. I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, this could be any one of our stories.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, is we can all do this, and we do all do this as long as we let ourselves. And I'm so learning that when I'm staying stuck and frozen, because really a lot of my experience the last few years was wanting to bring something into manifestation, but not being clear what it was, and then getting stuck and not having any traction. So that's really what then doing this facilitation stuff did, and transformational stuff did, is it really helped me get some more traction. And I identified a couple of different patterns that were really a problem for me. And one of them was not getting help, feeling like I had to do it all myself.
Wow.
So it goes back to, what it is when you're a doctor. It's you. And of course, I would always tell my colleagues, get a consult, get a consult, get a consult. Yeah, but when it came to me and where do I need help and assistance to actually manifest this, yeah. So anyway,
That
so
really resonates, I think, with all of us, but that especially resonates with me speaking personally. That's incredible. Thank you for
yeah,
reinforcing the value of getting help, asking for help.
right.
We
Yeah.
live in
Yeah,
a
I got
day,
it.
I really believe too, of collaboration, giving and receiving support, and so mutual support. And I think that a lot of us are conditioned and socialized to, the old story is not just something that's inside us as an individual, it's sort of a collective story. And I don't know if it's unique to our culture, but I have noticed that that's where I've had to have a lot of breakthroughs, both in my personal life, as a mom, as a wife, professionally, and now as a business owner, is really being able to ask for help, and sometimes just being more vulnerable and not feeling like I mean, that was my mentality for years. If it's gonna get done, I got to do it. And I was hit by a car, went through major back surgery, partially paralyzed, had to have people even wash my hair, and friends saying, Kim, you don't need to be so super independent, that something like this has to happen to learn that we're all here to support one another. But I still had other tests to go through. It was like so deep in me. So I really, really love that you bring that up, because I think that's something that individually and collectively we can continue to support one another in really learning how to ask for help, receive it, and not just be in this, I think women are so conditioned to give, and be nurturing and, there for everybody. And so it's a cultural tape that we can undo. One thing I was wondering, because I know you said that you could maybe do a little healing with that selenite sword, and describe that a little bit, and maybe we could have an experience and then share what that was like. So I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that, and then maybe we can have an experience and then talk about it.
That's great. So I first ran into selenite swords back 11 years ago when I was going to actually some of my spiritual growth work with my guru named Saima. We meet in Denver, and there was a sword maker there named Tom Letter, and he made selenite swords. And we were actually using them when we would do group healings. And selenite is I think it's a calcite crystal. This is not my old sword. This is my newest sword. But it basically is, as Tom describes it, it brings in fifth dimensional light energy through it. And unlike not every crystal, but a lot of other crystals which can pick up lower vibrational energy from us or the atmosphere or other things like that, these don't. These retain their high vibrational aspects. And according to him, they also have this really cool ability to magnify whatever crystals are up against it. So he makes this handle. The handle's copper. He fills it with the powder of 400 different crystals, plus water from sacred sites. And then there's another, this happens to be cuboidal lithium on the end. This is good for anxiety. That's on the end. So it will take all of it. And then what he did, you can see he engraved the flower of life on it too, that pattern, which is a very old, very powerful spiritual pattern. So basically you work this by intention. So I have my intention to allow energy, and the way I do it, when I do energy healing or work with anybody, do a client, I always call in my gang of out of non-physical spiritual teachers to work with and through me, with the intention that I will carry the energy, the highest vibrational energy, to know this person in front of me for the truth of what they really are, and not allow any of my lower vibrational stuff to impede this, to get in the way. So the prayer of the intention is to only allow the highest energy to go, to see this person as the truth of who they really are. So that's how these things work. What time is good? Look at the time. Okay, 1:40. So how long would you like to do something? Because that will determine what I can do. But what time do you want me to do?
Should we do 10 minutes and then
10 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to do an hour, but I know we're
I'll do 10 minutes. That sounds perfect. I'll just have to keep an eye on the time because it's too easy. Okay, so I'm going to move this. I have to stand. I want to stand, not have to. I get to stand for this. So we'll put that there. Yes, you can see me. I can see you. So okay, I got to take a moment and all right, so you can close your eyes or keep your eyes open. It doesn't matter. And I'll be talking, and just keep checking in with your body, what's going on. So I'm connecting now with the Earth Star Chakra. Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Just go ahead and nod. Okay, great. So I'm connecting with the Earth Star Chakra, which is 1 to 2 feet beneath your feet. It's your connection to Earth. It's your connection to Mother. And as I do this for a few moments here, you might begin to feel some tingling in your feet. Is anybody feeling anything in their feet?
I'm wondering, would it be better if we stood up?
Nope,
No. Okay.
doesn't matter. Just have your feet flat on the floor.
I feel my ankles.
Uh-huh,
And my calves.
great. And you might feel energy move.
I feel a warmth in my heels and a warmth in my calves.
Great. And now I'm both connecting with the Earth Star Chakra and the Soul Star Chakra, which is the one that's about 6 or 8 inches above your head.
I definitely feel my whole head and even my throat chakra.
Now this is bringing light to your energy field.
I feel bright.
Yeah, cool. Now this is bringing light into your spinal cord. You might feel sensation along your spine.
Even though I'm sitting, I feel a little dizzy.
Okay, make sure you keep breathing. Feet flat on the floor. Awareness in your hips and pelvis if you're feeling dizzy.
Not in a bad way, just kind of
Okay.
a,
I feel like a release in my spine is an area where I had a lot of trauma during that accident. Just feels like release.
Oh, good. So this is a Vesica Pisces. This is bringing the energy, the intention of oneness. Oneness. This is expanding the heart chakra. You might feel sensation in your chest with this. Now this is pouring light and love into your future. Light and love into your future. Now pouring light and love into your past. Light and love into your past. And the last part, I'm bringing in the divine feminine. I invoke the presence of Mother Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace. Blessings on you and blessings on the fruit of your womb, Master Jesus. Be with us now and in the hour of our ascension. I invoke the presence of Isis and her wings of grace to wrap around you for your upliftment. I call on Kuan Yin, her arms of compassion, to be with you in whatever you need, for whatever tear you've shed in the past, in the present, and in the future. And I call upon Sekhmet, fierce lady, to cut through all obstacles between you and your highest purpose in your life. Okay, take some slow, deep breaths. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your feet. And take a deep breath and let it out with a sigh. And another deep breath and let it out with a sigh. And one last time, deep breath and let it out with a sigh. And you can open your eyes when you feel ready. How was that?
Oh, Karen, that was beautiful because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking of how many souls and patients never get spoken to in this manner. They've never heard these words and these intentions. And that's the beautiful part of this healing. It's not only energy healing, but it's sound healing too. It's just listening to your words. I'm thinking of all those people out in the world who are hurting or who are in pain, who I've seen as patients or who have yet to see doctors, and how these words that you speak can be and are a balm in addition to the energy and that you're doing. And I see and feel how this is such a powerful healing practice. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was absolutely beautiful. The way that your presence, just your being, is incredibly healing. And I could definitely feel the energy, especially through the spine. It was almost like almost want to take my breath away. I felt my neck release, which I always hold. My throat chakra has always been an issue for me. That was amazing. And yes, so many, I just love, getting to experience these things from especially somebody like you. So thank you. That was really special. And I needed that.
Good, good. Yeah, Tom Letter calls it a light body activation. It's basically pouring light in.
Uh-huh.
Pouring light and blessing.
Love it.
Exactly. That's exactly what it feels like too. So I'm someone who I have MS, and so and the scarring has damaged my nerves enough that my feet, my legs, my hands, I regularly have no feeling. And
Mhm.
energy work is where, or holding the crystals, right? That is why I have the room full of crystals. When you said, oh, you might feel a little tingling in your feet, and I'm like, I'm not gonna feel anything. And I don't know why every single time I am surprised because I was like, oh, I feel it. And I didn't even want to move. I didn't want to move. I'm like, ooh, wait, I feel cold around my ankles. I don't want to move. I feel something.
Oh,
Oh, beautiful. And the heart chakra, I just wanted to, so that is my favorite. I recently went to Sedona and have a large crystal singing bowl, and it chose me, and it was the heart chakra.
Hmm.
And we exercise it daily. That is how we start our day in this house with all the girls, well, all the children that are left in the house. Yeah, but when you did that, I was like, it felt like, what? Like it, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm surprised, because I already believe in this. And yet every single time I'm like, wow, I really, so thank you, thank you, thank you.
yeah, I just feel energy, light, like it's light blessing. It was interesting, that image, when you talked about the future and then the past, the image, a few images came. My dad came. I felt like and he's someone I've had a lot of challenge with in my life, that I was able to work through and forgive him before he passed on. But he's passed on, but I felt like his spirit, like this was also being extended to him, this healing.
Mm.
So that felt really beautiful. And I mentioned earlier, mentioned to Taki, and I think I mentioned to you, Karen, and Facebook, that I had a really interesting day. I cried a lot today. A post from someone I really didn't expect to see the words and experience the words that were put out there around Black lives. My husband is biracial, and I really care about the issue. I've worked for social justice, and it was just, I was sort of taken aback by the post. And my voice chakra, I made a response, and I was vulnerable and just shared how it landed for me, and that I was weeping. And I felt even more just the energy that my voice matters right now.
Yes.
And I'm getting ready to take a week of unplugging. On Thursday I start, and really some spiritual healing, some writing. And so I just feel like this was such a blessing as I begin to launch on that week of getting close to God and the divine, and continuing on with my healing work, and also putting my voice out in the world. So I'm just so grateful that we met, and that you accepted the invitation to come and share your beautiful soul with us, and your story, and this beautiful form of healing. And we'll be sharing this. So we have a Facebook page and a website, and we'll be sharing this.
Oh, cool.
And you can send me information for how people can connect with you, because the energy healing work is so, when I hear Tahereh say, wow, that, you can feel where you normally can't feel, right? It's just, we know that there are many modalities for healing, and this is a really powerful form. So
Right. Yeah, I do. It's been such an honor to be with you guys and share my story. I was actually writing it a little bit, a couple of months ago. And it was at that point that I really realized how everything I've done in the past is supporting what I'm doing now. It's just really, you look at it and you sort of say, wow. I don't know if you women have found that to be true too, but it's just amazing. But yeah, I'd love to get you, connect with me on Facebook. I do a meditation on my personal Facebook page, which is kind of half business. Okay, it's 2/3 business. On Wednesdays at 4 Pacific time. So I do a half an hour guided meditation for anybody who wants to come in, or I don't use the swords, but anybody who wants to come in or listen to the replay. And then I do have my Facebook group where I'm doing teachings and lives. I did a live today actually teaching on the unmentionables, shame and guilt, and what to do about them. So I do teachings there too.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll make sure I share that link with everyone. And it's 4 p.m. Pacific time, because you're
Pacific time, right?
Yeah,
So I'm in Seattle.
meditation on Thursday. So yeah, we can share.
Yeah, meditation on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
It's Thursday, sorry. Yeah, perfect.
Well, thank you
Anyway.
so much.
Yes, thank you
very much.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to collaborate with you guys in the future.